Hello again, geometry. This is Q4 week 6. This week we are going to talk about some volume vocabulary. So everything we've done so far has been two-dimensional, and now we are going to move into 3 dimensions. So the first vocabulary word and shape that we're going to talk about today is a sphere. So a sphere, most of us probably already know what this word is. A sphere is a 3-dimensional remember 3D is not flat. That's 2D. 3-dimensional shape that is basically a ball. It's what you get when you spin a circle around its diameter. So it's always important to connect the 3-dimensional shape to the 2-dimensional shape that we made it from. So if I think about taking a circle made out of a piece of paper, and I take a piece of string that's bigger than the circle and tape it right across the diameter, and then spin that string in my fingers, the shape that I should see should look like a sphere. So let's draw a diagram of a sphere. So a sphere looks like this. So when I draw a sphere, I start with drawing a circle, and then I like to add in a curved line on the outside right here. That just represents the 3-dimensional outside of the sphere. And then this dotted line is like if you could imagine this sphere is solid, but you can kind of see through it. That would be like the back edge of the sphere. So just like in a circle, we have the distance from the center to the edge of the sphere is called the radius. So the radius in a sphere and a circle is the same. Distance from the center to the outside edge. So that's a sphere. We're going to do some math with it later, but this is just our vocabulary video. Okay, moving on, our next one that we're going to talk about today is a cylinder. So make sure you pause and write this down. Make sure you draw the diagram in your notes. So the next shape we're going to talk about is called a cylinder. So a cylinder is what you get when you spin a rectangle around an axis or line that lies along one side of the rectangle. So if we think about taking a rectangle, and kind of like I did with the circle, I'm going to think about here's a piece of string, and I'm taping it to the edge of the rectangle. I'm going to hold each end of this string in my fingers and I'm going to spin it. What happens when I spin it is this rectangle then goes around and creates this shape. Like this corner right here moves around, comes back to here. So a cylinder is this shape. So let's look at an accurate diagram. So this is what a diagram of a cylinder looks like. So we have some parts to talk about. This bottom right here is called the base. We also call the top up here the base. So in a cylinder, the base is a circle. So since the base is a circle, there is a radius right here. Radius is important. And the other important thing in a cylinder is we need to know how tall it is. Height is measured 90 degrees to the base. So I want a 90-degree angle here. What I don't want you to do is do something like this. That's not 90 degrees, the blue line. That would be measuring not 90 degrees to the base. And if you think about it, this blue line is probably bigger than this red line, isn't it? Because this is a triangle. So don't do this one. Wrong. Don't do this one. Do this one. And that is the height. Okay, the third shape that we're going to talk about today is a cone. So, talking about a cone. Find some more space here to write. So, a cone. A cone is the shape, the 3D shape you get when you rotate a right triangle around one of its legs. So if I have a right triangle, here's my right triangle. This is my 90-degree angle. Remember, this angle this line right here is the hypotenuse, which means this side is a leg and this side is a leg. So if I want to rotate this around one of the legs, let's say I'm going to pick this vertical one. Let's say I just tape this triangle to this yellow string and then spin it in my fingers. What kind of shape am I going to get? So if I try and see this in my head, what's going to happen is I've got this point right here. It's going to come around in a circle and come back to here. This point doesn't go anywhere though, because it's at the top attached to the string, so it's not going to actually go anywhere. So if I picked like a random point like here, that one's also going to go around in a circle. And the shape that I'm eventually going to get when I spin this kind of looks like this. Think about an ice cream cone. The shape down here on the bottom is a circle. Kind of like our cylinder had a circle. All of these shapes we're talking about today have circles as part of them. So let's look at a good diagram of a cone. So this is my cone, and because the base down here, this down here is the base again. The base is always a circle. So the base of a cone is a circle. And since it's a circle, it has a radius. The radius goes from the center of the circle to the edge, just like in all of our other circles. And then, just like we did in our height in the others, height is measured from the base to the very top of this object, but it has to make a 90-degree angle with the base. If it doesn't make a 90-degree angle with the base, let's say you tried to do this right here. This edge of the cone is not the height. We call that the slant height. Makes sense because it's slanted, right? Slant height. If I'm asking for the height though, this is what I'm looking for. This. So if I was measuring how tall is this cone from the floor all the way up to the ceiling. Alright, that is our vocabulary for today. Look out for your next video. We are going to be calculating the volume of each of these different shapes. So make sure you've got all 3 diagrams written down. Make sure you know the parts of each of these shapes. Write down any questions you have, and I will see you soon.